So guys, I have Dan Presland from Obliviscaris and many other awesome bands with me today. We're just basically continuing this lovely trial of having chats with different people in the music industry, names we all know and love, and people who are generally positive and have a positive influence on the people around them. And Dan's definitely one of those. And so we're just going to have a chat about music, life, and just general stuff where things that we can all relate to, that we're all going through, especially with the lockdown stuff, especially with all this COVID stuff happening, and just music in general and what it holds for us in the future. How are you going tonight, dude?
Yeah, doing pretty good. Just basically finished all my work for the day, so just relaxing with a beer and chatting to you. So
Nice. I'm glad we're on the same page then, because I've got my tawny in hand, as is customary. So
nice.
Drinking on a school night, it's fine.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You can either look at it as every night's a school night or every night's a weekend night at this point. So
yeah. I guess
chalk it up to
sort of one. Well, I'd classify as a negative, but one negative thing for me with this long-term lockdown is the reintroduction of more alcohol into my life, which I'm not stoked on, but it's kind of like it's really kind of made its way in. I'm kind of hoping this lockdown just goes sooner rather than later, because I'm like, one thing I'm really dying to do is just get back into my routines that I had pre-lockdown. Like, I have a pretty lethal routine, I think, in terms of managing my health and what I do during the day. And having alcohol sort of reintroduced is not ideal for me. So that's one thing I'm really trying to be mindful of, actually.
I think that's actually leads into something I wanted to chat about just even a little bit later, but that's pretty much it. Like, in terms of the general health and well-being side of things, you know, you made that point of sort of maybe potentially reintroducing some, not so much straight up bad habits, but things that are not part of that general regimen and scheduling and whatnot. I definitely had the same thing, especially I think during first lockdown when everything just went to shit effectively.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Same sort of thing. I did my okay, you know what, whatever, man. I'll have my gin during the week. I'll have a few drinks, whatever. And it was that sort of. I think maybe for the first couple of months of just being a bit too casual with it, it was like got a bit more lethargic, put on a little bit more weight.
Yeah,
got a bit too accustomed to like the lack of habit, and it was like, oh crap, I can't sort of do that because like everything up until now I've been trying to have a really good schedule, and I tend to, maybe the same way as you, I tend to work really well when I've got a really strict schedule going on, even if it's entirely self-imposed. But just as long as the whiteboard's full of stuff, I know that, you know, there's a way to go about it. And I think when everything when lockdown first happened, all that went out the window. So then, all that sort of, those bad habits came back in. Do you find, or have you found that you're sort of balancing it out a bit more now? And was it worse initially, or is it worse now?
For me, I'd say it's worse now. Yeah, definitely. With how long this is going on for now, it's just becoming more difficult to balance. So again, it's just learning curves and learning about myself, and I guess my mentality in regards to that is just, I'm just looking forward to kind of like the comeback per se, you know, like post lockdown. So I'm very aware of what's happening, and I guess trying to make it as minimal as possible, especially in terms of the alcohol. And generally speaking, I like to be really mindful of my health and kind of what I do to my body. So I like to basically perform at the highest level I can at all times, and that comes from feeding your body the right stuff and treating you know your mind and body the best you can, so you can maximize all the results that you want to do. And so currently, that's kind of on a bit of a downward spiral at the moment, but it's one thing I am mindful about, and it's actually one thing I'm trying to look forward to, like once we eventually do get out of this lockdown phase, is regaining that structure and regiment to my life. I'm very structured in the way I do things. And I like to basically, anything that maybe is not enjoyable, like going to the gym or doing the daily grind on your instrument or something like that, I try to almost force myself to make it almost a habit sort of thing. So I really want to get my habits back in that, especially in the health and fitness kind of regard.
Yeah, I absolutely get that. I think, so my partner is, apart from the full-time work, which she's still doing from home at the moment, she's also an athlete and was sort of in the process of doing qualifiers for the 2020 Olympics when
Right
all
on,
this
cool.
kicked in, and she's been doing that for so long that even when lockdown kicked in, and I guess the mentality side of it was quite rough, she definitely kept going with the her training schedule and all that, and
Yep.
I was the one who definitely slacked off. Like she'd still without all the gear, she'd still grab whatever she could in the house, go and do her sprints
Yep.
and all that, and I just kind of went, nah, screw it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I just hit that point, and I didn't pick up the guitar for a month and a half properly.
Yeah, right.
Did no vocal practice, because like getting ready for Download and a few other tours was, so much work went into that, and then I was just like, nah, screw it, and then that same sort of thing, all those sort of bad habits came in and stopped doing the things that I knew I was doing to take care of myself, and like you said, to perform at the best of my ability at all times. And I think maybe like a month and a half, 2 months in, when I sort of like, had that first dry spell of work where I didn't have leftover work to do and whatnot.
Yep.
Sam kind of just looked over and went, look, maybe just still give yourself some like boundaries and then try to just stick to them out of habit, even if you hate them, because it's not like it was stuff you liked in the first place. Like, I enjoy doing my physical exercise in the sense that, it's the end of it when you're finished and you're sweating and you're like, yep, cool, that was worth it.
Yeah, totally.
Not necessarily the process, but she made a really good point of like, well, why would you not do that now? So it did kind of motivate me to go, well, I can still have, like, the things I can control, I can actually control them more now.
Yep.
But it's a really hard mentality to get into, especially
Certainly
when you're
is.
like, well, what's the payoff, right?
Dude, that's like, it's very difficult. I think, that's what kind of separates maybe some people who get closer to achieving their goals and don't is being the ability to do what you need to do on a daily basis.
Yep.
Consistently.
Yep.
Because long-term consistency is what yields results.
Yep.
And it's a very difficult discipline to have, especially year-round. And, putting consecutive years together of long-term consistency is quite a struggle. And it's also, really important to have supportive people around you. So you're very lucky to have a partner that's very...
Yeah, absolutely.
I think obviously inspires you as well, which is super cool. Yeah.
And I guess that was kind of part of the question I was going to ask is, in terms of your living situation at the moment, are you living alone at the moment, or do you have anyone else around at any point?
Yeah, I live with my partner too, Alex.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, like, I guess it's good to have that back and forth. I think that's really, really
100%.
important. So
Yeah, it really
I definitely feel for anyone who's sort of in a single home living situation. It does make it that much more of a mountain for sure.
I mean, it's months now. I couldn't imagine it. Like, I mean, the studies, the clinical studies of if humans need interaction. Like, there's not even an argument there.
I think it's interesting because I'd say maybe, generalizing a little bit on the side of, being metalheads, let's say, and in that sort of vein, I think a lot of people tend to think we're loners or, come across as like, oh, we're fine on our own. But I think if you are part of this kind of scene, it is completely the opposite. We might be individualistic loner people in the way that we may be seen by others, but the fact is that community that we have is so important. And the thing that I'm picking up on so much more now is whether it's fans or friends in the scene and the rest of it, it's just constantly keeping in touch with each other, even just a message of, hey man, just hope you're well, all the little things, because without saying those words necessarily, that's what going to a gig is. That's what going out to the bendy for a drink with other metalheads and mates is. It's the non-verbal version of "Are you okay?" almost, and not being able to do that, becoming a sort of a new reality right now, and for a little while at least in the future, is something that everyone's going to adapt to differently, because it's not a normal thing. It's not something
at all. No way. It's just so beyond normal. It's I'm not so sure that people are probably aware of how detrimental and fragile mental health will be in the next 6 to 12 months. It's could be worrying.
I think the sad thing more than anything, at least for me, in that sense, is that it's taken this situation to pick up on a lot of things that people have been reaching out for ages. In terms of like people who are now in job seeker, who have had full-time jobs their whole life and whatnot, and now having to get by on an extended version, but are still like, well, that's not a lot of money, and it's like, well, there are people living on a third of this a week every week of their lives because of either disability or struggles or the plethora of reasons. And it's an interesting thing where I hate that it is that reason that we've had to have, so that people may have a bit more of a magnifying glass.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're now seeing there is a lot more outreach to mental health programs, and some of it is going to be purely because of the situation we're in, because people who don't know how to deal with it are going to go, well, I don't know how to deal with this, and others will be people that haven't had the opportunity to do that and now are going, well, I don't have another option now, and I'm in a situation where it's there, I'm not doing much else, forcefully, I'm going to reach out and do it. So I kind of hope that there's like that weird silver lining that these things don't get sort of swept under the rug again. Obviously, that's a big, I guess, that's another discussion for the political side of it. But as people in general, I really hope that by the end of this, a lot of people can empathize more with those who have less or are in situations that just aren't ideal and never really know how to, just to empathize with that. Now, being in that situation, we're seeing people who generally might come across as very together, who are now going, oh, this is just not a situation I'm
familiar with,
able to familiar with it to get around or have the tools for necessarily. So I think that's one thing that I hope comes out of this in a positive, that at the end of it, it's not something we now sweep under the rug again, because it's always an issue. It's always something we need to keep on top of.
For sure. I definitely think that self-improvement, like if you don't have a focus on self-improvement in general, and hopefully this, if you haven't previously, maybe this has really kind of opened your eyes to it somewhat, but it's crucial to your human development and how you develop as a person, and everything you do as a person in terms of even just personal development or development with your instrument or whatever it is you're doing in life, it's all relative to each other, and it's all one big, it's this one big encompassing energy that's, you work on one thing and then you discover things with something else, and it all works together somehow, so hopefully hopefully people do really I guess obviously if you come on the other side of this lockdown isolation thing and you haven't learnt anything, then I think that's probably not going to fare too well, so hopefully people do learn things.
Absolutely. And I think even if people don't think they are, you are, just by going through the situation. It's just being able to acknowledge what's difficult or what's having to be learned is the first step of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you made the point earlier of going, oh, I'm aware of maybe drinking a bit more than normal, and same goes for me. But I think that first part is being aware of it is a very good indicator that it's something that you are going to keep on top of.
It also means you've got no excuse too. If you're aware of something and you keep doing it and you're enabling yourself, that's like that's one thing I really get on myself too, like, because I'd like to think I'm very aware of a situation I'm in, the current situation I'm in, and I am aware of that, so I have no excuse as well. So I don't want to make excuses. Maybe I'm harsh, but I really think that if when you say, for example, you wake up and it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go practice today or whatever, and then you got those excuses, that inner monologue in your head saying, oh, just whatever, do it tomorrow or whatnot. I really try to verbalize that inner monologue, because I'm like, I listen to myself and I'm like, listen to yourself. You're like, you're being a bitch, like go and do it. So. That's one thing. And I saw a really cool video the other day of this guy who was obviously in fantastic shape running, and he said the same thing. He's like, if you're struggling to do something, literally film yourself and listen to your inner monologue. What's it saying? What excuses is it saying? Because you're only as strong as your excuses. If you keep making excuses for yourself, how are you going to accomplish things?
100%. And I think maybe that sort of behind the veil sense of, as someone who's obviously in a touring band, who's made the transition towards music being a job, as a career, and the rest of it, like you said, the ongoing repeated effort that goes into it, the scheduling, the regimental
it's that long-term
effort.
consistency.
It's not just, you can't just go click your fingers and suddenly you can do those things, or just because you've worked up to it now, you have to maintain that ability.
That's the
as
key.
It goes on.
Long-term consistency, and that's what I tell all my students as well. Is it's like, like we all watch like a video on YouTube of a musician get inspired, right? And you go just pick up your guitar and you're just like, oh hell yeah, I'm inspired. That was awesome, But it's like maintaining that inspiration and over a long term. So how do you consistently self-motivate? How do you do this? Because it's like long-term consistency is what's going to yield your results, no matter what.
I think that's something I hope is repeated more than ever. Just that mentality of like really, realistically speaking, hard work will get you where you need to be.
Absolutely.
Passionate hard work. It may not be now. It may not be in a few years. It may be 5 to 10 years. But the fact is, you're not going to get there without that hard work. Granted, there are some people who are super lucky, but the majority of people have to actually constantly work hard to be where they need to be, and that's just how the world is.
Yeah, it's really how almost life is modeled in a way, because the consistent hard work, it like conditions your brain, it conditions your thoughts as well, and your thoughts is actually what manifests what your dreams or aspirations are, and you continually think about those thoughts, they will manifest, and that comes from all the hard work. But when you make all those, all the daily things a habit, and it becomes a habit that you do daily, that's how they manifest. It's
just becomes second nature at that point.
It does,
because
100%.
you keep reinforcing those habits, and it's not something you have to force yourself to do anymore. It's like I said, it's part of the daily grind,
and having an understanding.
Good way, because absolutely. As funny as it is, I'm still on like total whiteboard mode. Like I still have a weekly whiteboard, and I'll use my Google Calendar but if that whiteboard's not full, I need it to be full. I need to add things, I need to have that, get up at 7 a.m, go for a little bit of a run, do this and that, all those things need to be there, because if I don't, sometimes I'll get away with that one day I don't do it, but then I kick my own ass about it, because I'm like, well, guess who has to do that twice as much tomorrow? And it's like, okay
I think at least the mentality I have is that I have a daily almost quota of stuff I have to do. And I mean, that's just the mentality I have. It doesn't always happen because, life, but I at least set myself a goal of every day, like literally wake up, sort of what are you going to do? What's the plan for the day? And I try to stick to it. It doesn't always work, but I'd say 6.3 times out of 7, days in a week.
Absolutely.
Generally,
And look, that's the whole idea, right? And no one's perfect, but you want to set as many goals that are achievable as possible. And then you kind of look at the end of the week and, let's say you get 8 out of those 10 goals done. You're like, well, I just did 8 of those things. If I didn't set them and if I didn't stick to them, I would have had 0.
Yeah.
And then you've constantly got to keep on top of that. And, and if you want to be doing better at certain stuff, then it's all right, next week I'm going to go for 10 out of 12 or 14 out of 20. And just, you've got to keep building on that.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people, the uncertainty of what's going on with everything at the moment is obviously something that would immediately, in our primitive brains, just go, cool, that's a detriment and it's a demotivator, so screw it. And that's a natural instinct to have. And
I think it's an easy one to have too. That's the easy train of thought to take.
It's the default thought almost,
It is.
And I think the hard thing, but the thing that's also important is that, in life, the only thing that we really have that's a commodity that's really important is time. And even though the situation we're in is just not for any good reason, we have time, So I am seeing a lot of people doing stuff that they normally haven't done or may not have been comfortable with, just because it's like, well, I don't really have anything else to do right now. And the time is there, so I either use it or I don't. And
Correct.
Like my mum, who's pretty much adverse to any kind of exercise, went and bought a bike a month and a half ago and has been riding a bike. And I didn't think in 50 years that I would see her riding a bike.
Hell yeah.
It's awesome. And it's like, great, like, good, do more of that. And, if that now becomes a habit for her, it's a healthy, easily adoptable habit that's now going to hopefully become just a part of her day-to-day. And she'll be healthier for it. She'll probably have a better mental outlook on stuff when she gets done with it. And it's just, again, reinforcing positive things.
It is, yeah. Yep.
So I guess, like, I think a while back, you and I, when we had a chat, there was, I tend to sort of externally look at a lot of people, especially people who I tend to interact with on a peer-to-peer level, and sort of see how they're doing and sort of take what I can from them in that, I guess, inspirational and growth motivating kind of way. You're definitely one of those people that, and tell me if I'm wrong here, I noticed maybe over the last couple of years, your general outlook and mentality has definitely become not necessarily just more positive, but it's just become a much more expansive view of how you seem to put things across, especially like online. You definitely have this very larger view of, I guess, people and humanity in the way you put a lot of things forward. Is that something that's come along in any intentional way, or is that just something you've grown into as time's gone on?
Probably a pretty good, what would be the word? Good. Good. I'm struggling for a word here. A good. Well said. Basically, yeah, because that's pretty accurate. But in terms of what you said in the last couple of years, I'd say in the last few years, probably I've been trying to verbalize it more. So,
Yeah, okay.
for example, when we write music in the bands I'm in, I try to be very verbal with, if I think someone's done a really good job, I try to really reinforce that, and, you know, even tell the person who it is that I, you know, feel privileged to play music with them, and just be really encouraging. And one thing I'm passionate about is trying to inspire people. Yeah. And so I try to inspire people with the way I go about life, basically, and you know, people seeing actions and then asking a question, sort of thing, is something that I guess I would be passionate about it, you know, because I genuinely want to see the people around me succeed. Yeah. And I basically have, especially in the last 5 years, I've really tried to surround myself with people who inspire me, and that might be even on the smallest levels, like a friend showing some love to their mum or something. I don't know. I just really try to be inspired and have people who inspire me. So I try to really surround myself with those sorts of people. And I guess basically something I try to do is live my life in a way that maybe people might observe something and then ask a question because they take a bit of positive energy from that. So that's just basically... you know, I guess a means and a way that I try to go about my business, you know, no matter what it is.
Absolutely. Do you think, and again, using that sort of rough time frame as a that period as a time frame as well, do you think part of that is because you, obviously your audience has gotten wider and bigger as the band's progressed and as your own personal music careers progressed, do you find that there's almost an inherent responsibility that you feel to verbalize it more and to get that out to more people? Has that changed at all with, I guess, the platform that you have now?
I wouldn't say so. No, I don't think that's what has been a motivator in terms of that. That's just been part of my personal development, I think. And I think there was just a period of time and where I sort of, I don't know, I guess I woke up a bit to really try and really, I guess, truly acknowledge that a lot of the people I do have around me in terms of friends and colleagues are really amazing people, and I want to tell them that and show people that I'm grateful for being able to do what I do alongside of them. And I think it's a really positive thing to do, and that's why I do it, and it gets more out of people as well. And, you know, you feel good doing it, and it also it breaks down walls between you and people as well when you sort of say things like that. Yeah. And a lot of the walls, especially, you know, in heavy music, there's a lot of walls of like people are hesitant to approach someone. The amount of times I've had like just walking around at shows and people like would say things like, "Oh, I thought you were really unapproachable," or something like that. And, you know, it's like, what?
No, I'm just standing.
You know, it's just, it's, you know, sort of when you hear that a lot, then you're sort of like, why would people think that? You know, I don't want it to be unapproachable.
Because
you know?
You don't feel that way, right? Because like,
definitely
what
not.
am I giving? Yeah, what vibe am I giving off? Yeah. If that's the case, because that's not how I feel on the inside. So what's externalizing that perception, I guess. Yeah. But that's and you know, in I guess the literal sense of the term, that's a really wholesome mentality to have. And I think when you made the point of it's easier to break walls down that way, I think it humanizes every situation you're in instead of being like, I'm talking to X person from Y thing. Yeah. And that was something that I think for me took a while to get to, just in general, because like I've never, whether it comes across it or not, I know that for me on an inside level, I'm actually not very good with communicating with people.
It's a skill. So it's a skill for sure. Some people are naturally good at it. Like you've got your natural extroverts who are really good. Someone like myself is more. I used to be more introverted. I can be introverted, but for the most part now, especially, you know, I guess just traveling and playing so many shows and meeting so many people, you know, I've been put in a position where I have to, and I want to make people feel comfortable. So it's kind of a skill that you learn, And that took a little while, and I've been touring for like 10 years now, but it took me quite a few years because I'm not naturally inclined to be like that in that way. So it's kind of something I've really had to work on in a sense.
Well, it's like what you said before, right? It's that whole reinforcement thing. If you keep putting yourself out there and you keep making that effort, then you're not necessarily going to become an extroverted person, but you are comfortable with that kind of interaction.
That's right.
And I guess that's kind of like exactly what I was thinking before, where it's not something that comes natural to me. But the more I put myself in those positions, like, just doing even these like one-on-one chats and talking to people that I guess I normally wouldn't have such in-depth conversations with.
For sure.
It then forces me to get more comfortable with that because, and again, people like yourself and others are people I'm genuinely interested by, people I, think highly of and like enjoy talking to. So it's like you said, it's about, getting those walls down and it not just being, a lot of the interactions we have because of gigs and stuff with people in general tends to be transactional and not in an intentional way, just because you have a short amount of time, you've got to really sort of get things going. So it's nice to sort of get away from that and go, well, it's just another person, and something that was weird for me, and I'm sure I feel like it's probably the same for everyone, and you can maybe mention the same thing, I'm sure, but the first time we traveled overseas was a big eye-opener for the way people, will perceive you. Whereas, in Australia, it's always, we're part of the scene and we're bands that play in the scene, even if people sort of, go, oh, they're from this band and I'm a fan.
And it's the culture
the second
too,
you step over, yeah, exactly.
It's just...
but the second you step overseas, it's sort of, then you sort of end up on the flip side of that of, I don't actually know these people personally, and they see us as like, oh, they're this band. And then you start interacting with them and just, like you said, it's that whole thing of like this just massive energy of like people are people and everyone, at the end of the day, we're all sort of intrinsically the same. And the more you interact with people that you may never have or people that you're in different cultures and all that, it just ends up becoming more and more of this one big family and mindset.
Yep.
As you go.
Yep. Yeah. Everyone's there for a reason, Everyone's there like participating in this event because they all love music, right? They all love the music and what it makes them feel, and everyone's different in that sense. But everyone's there for the same reason, and I can definitely. I mean, how many bands have either maybe broken up or come close to breaking up from their first tour? Especially overseas.
Oh, yeah,
that's like
that's the make or break.
That's a real
right
test, man. And I got to say, the first time we went overseas, I wasn't pleasant to tour with. Whinging and all these things, and I'm first to admit that. But it's like something that was brought to my attention. It's something I really started working on, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about. Especially other bands we work with and other professionals we work with, whether it's merch people, techs, tour managers, whatever. I really try to. You just want a pleasant experience between everyone, because there's no such thing these days as like arsehole rock stars. It just doesn't exist.
No, you don't
you need the social ability.
Yeah.
You need, for one, you need a great playing ability. You need a great social ability, and you need to know how to connect and talk with people and just respect people for what they are.
I think it's just harder to get away with being an asshole these days, really. Like,
it just doesn't happen, dude. There's not enough money.
There's
to be
not
an
enough
arsehole.
money to take that microscope away from people's personalities. That like you could do so much behind closed doors back in the day, and it's all those you find those VH1 behind the music, and the behind the music is just following someone's Facebook now.
Yeah, I suppose.
So like, there's so much more of this, like, just because the world is how it is now from social interaction, because of the online side, you just know people more. And I think that does make it more special in some ways too, especially when you do find, like you said, when you have good interactions with bands, especially bands you may either tour with or fans of, it makes the whole experience better when it turns out they're not dicks. Like, that's just
absolutely
how it is.
We've all heard that saying, is it what, don't meet your heroes sort of thing?
Oh, look, it happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to say though, I've met a lot of my heroes, like a lot, and for the most part, they've been amazing people, and they're now friends, which is insane.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
but it's funny, and again, it all keeps wrapping around to that whole thing of just the positive mindset, and I think that might be the theme of this chat with you. It turns out is we've toured with bands that have influenced us, and I reckon I've probably knocked off almost every bucket list band I love.
Awesome,
which is
dude.
amazing.
Congrats.
It's one of those really lucky. Again,
very privileged. Congrats.
Yeah, it is. It's just like a huge thing of, I never thought that would happen, and without any other achievements, that is a huge, amazing thing to be thankful for. And being friends with some of these bands, like talking on the daily with some people that when I was a kid, you know, I wouldn't have even known how to say hi to
Yeah.
them. I would have lost my mind. And now it's
Yeah.
just like I'm playing Xbox with these dudes, you know?
Yeah, totally.
So
Yeah.
it is a really important thing, especially in the kind of music that isn't making the kind of money where you're on jets and, you know, you can't do that sort of thing. So
No, it's a passion.
that interaction, yeah, absolutely. Like when, you know, I guess it's probably a good segue into the Neo stuff as well. Obviously, you guys, you know, you're kind of in that tier of touring is the important thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got the Patreon which is, you know, I think was a really clever idea, and you know, it was obviously a saga in terms of introducing that as a metal band, and it was really interesting following along when all that got announced, because obviously, you know, there was that pushback of people who did the whole, oh, you're not doing the hard yards and all that, you know, that, I guess, that outdated mentality. And, you know, it is, everyone has their views, and
everyone's
it
entitled
is
to their opinion, and I respect anyone
absolutely.
who doesn't agree with anything I do, and I have no problem with it whatsoever.
No, and those people have their own paths to go about things, and they'll obviously see it from that way.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is, though, you guys took a route where, knowing that to get to the level of sort of, you know, that, I guess, high up tier one, you're making money even when you're not touring, and you're touring and all that as a musician, sort of without having to put in the effort. Instead of sort of getting to there, which is now this, I guess, the bracket between the way your livelihood would work doing that, you now introduce Patreon to go, well, we can tour as a band. We can actually live touring. We can do as much touring as we can, but you need to supplement that with something.
Yeah.
So I guess, you know, from all the experiences that you guys have had, and, you know, having that mentality of wanting to do this as a living, being able to tour as much as possible to grow the band more than anything, really, you know, you're playing live to make more fans, to get to more people and get the message to as many fans as possible. At what point did it feel right for you guys to sort of look at, say, Patreon as a realistic way of going, we want to be able to do this full time? And if we do sort of the old model, the, you know, the rock star model of just keep working until it sort of works, at what point did you hit that decision sort of to go, we need to do this a different way? Did anything spark it, or was it a conversation that sort of was ongoing?
Well, I dare say, and I guess all of our interpretations of this are going to be different, but Tim was definitely at the forefront of a lot of this stuff, and Tim's put a lot of thought into all these kinds of things, far more than me, for sure. But I would say probably 5-6 years ago, we really wanted to take that step to be a band that could make money from music, I guess. And I think the Patreon's been going about 3 years now. And so probably 4 or 5 years ago, the blueprints were kind of put down there. But myself personally, I've always had multiple forms of income. I've never committed myself to being a full-time musician. I still don't consider myself a full-time professional musician. And I say that because being a full-time professional musician with what I want to do doesn't allow me to live the life that I want to live. Full stop. That
totally makes sense. I think the eggs in one basket style of being a musician doesn't work. It's just not a thing anymore.
You got to think too. Like, I've had this conversation with guys before. Like, you think about in the 80s and 90s, right? You got these bands that even would have been at a level of, say, Orpheus or Neo in that kind of realm, which isn't really huge, but we're still, you know, I guess we're getting a few hundred people and all that sort of stuff. But back then, you were given money to go to a studio to make a record, and there's probably a wife or girlfriend there that's like insane, and then there's a guy told to take care of that. Someone else has got a drug problem, we've got to take care of that. And someone else is a manic depressant, and we've got to take care of that. And there's people managing all these difficulties, and there's this, it's like a printing machine. There was money. You know, there was money.
That's it, right? The money was there.
It was there
to placate those issues,
these days,
not to fix them.
These days, you've got to go into the studio. I've done albums in a day because there's no money, literally. And it's like, it's insane. And most of the time I do albums in 2 or 3 days, and a lot of the time it's, well, number one, I like to be prepared, but number two, there's no money. And
Well, yeah,
like you
you've
think
got to
about
be efficient, right?
absolutely. I mean, and you think about like stories of bands back in the day, they'd spend 4 months in a studio.
Yeah, dude.
Literally.
All you got to do is look at Year and a Half in a Life of Metallica. Now, obviously, that's Metallica, but just
Yeah.
put into perspective. Think about how long we've been in lockdown.
Yeah.
Double that, and that's how long they
That's
got to
right.
be in a studio. Like, think about that.
It's
Just
crazy.
in terms of it that
It's
way.
crazy.
That's insane.
It
I don't
is.
like.
It
It's
is.
insane, and you got to think there is no way that you were productive for that whole time. It was.
I'm sure there was a couple of rehab visits. I'm sure
Oh,
there was
yeah.
like insane girlfriends. I'm sure there was everything disturbing everything.
Oh
you
yeah.
know, but
I mean, if you look at it now, and I personally think, I think some of the best metal right now is some of the best metal ever written. That's just how I feel
Yeah,
about it. I
I mean,
think there are
music's
bands pushing
getting-
the boundary,
yeah, pushing,
and they're
It's
doing
getting
it
crazy.
with small budgets.
Yeah.
And big ideas. I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And I guess, looking at that again, that whole thing with Patreon and all that.
Yep.
YouTubers, bloggers, etc. They've been using a system like that for such a long time, and I think you guys, with maybe just a small handful of others, have sort of ushered in the it's okay to do that as a musician, right? Like it's okay
There's
to
no
not
boundaries, But as
No,
soon as someone breaks
exactly.
a boundary, the people start saying something, and then to me, that's an indicator that you're probably doing something that's a benefit to you. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
and we've put up with a lot of that stuff over our career, man. Trust me, like
yeah,
man, when when we first started playing shows and like, oh, you got a violinist, violins shouldn't be in metal. Okay, cool. No worries.
It's so funny because I was back when I was in high school. I didn't actually know of you guys at the time, and I didn't until sort of a fair bit later. But one of my mates who was just like a fan of, I think, just like mostly I think vocals and the drumming at the time, and was just showing me the stuff, and I'm like, is that a fucking violin?
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And then
Yeah.
I remember way later, it was like maybe a few years after that, I don't know what gig it was, but it was the first time I'd seen Neo, and I just went, that's that band I saw on like a handy cam on YouTube with the
Right.
violin. This
Yeah.
is sick.
Yeah.
So it was a very confronting thing, but I think in a you have to take it in I guess like if something's different, you need to take a second to go, do I like it? Do I actually personally
Yeah,
like it, as
yeah.
opposed to
Takes a bit of
this
thought, I
shouldn't
suppose.
be like this? Like, who cares? Like, are you enjoying it? If there's an oboe in it, it doesn't, like it's really irrelevant. And you look at someone like Rivers of Nil doing like saxophone solos and shit, and it's like, dude, that's like one of the best that last album with
That was
Hours No
killer.
Name,
Yeah.
freaking amazing.
Yeah, it was.
So, everyone's going to have their opinions on everything, and everyone has their own taste. But I think an important thing is always keep an open mind. And that's not just with the music tastes. It's, again, looking at something like you guys do in Patreon and stuff and going, well, yeah, that is different. But this could help a lot of bands. This is a path that could mean more bands, instead of breaking up or having 3 members leave because they realize, oh, I've got, rent to pay. And this tour, totally broke me even, but I've still got 3 weeks worth of rent to cover that I didn't have a job for, and so on and so forth.
Very fine line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So with all that said, you decided to open a studio in the middle of a COVID-19 lockdown.
I did, yeah. I'm insane.
Dude, tell us about Bushido Studios.
Okay, yeah, cool. So basically, the story goes, I did the latest Neo record in Nashville in March, and like I've always been very interested and passionate about the whole recording process, and I've been recording drums for years at my place. And originally I was going to open a restaurant. Actually, I had some pretty solid business plans down to open a restaurant, and was talked out of it pretty much by some financial advisors and a couple of friends and a gut instinct, I guess.
Yeah.
And so essentially I've always wanted to have a business of my own. I just wanted to invest in myself and test myself out, basically, is really what I wanted to do. So it just kind of fell in my lap by coming home from doing the Neo record in Nashville, which was at like a $6 million studio, an amazing studio. Came home pretty inspired, and basically just went, fuck it, I'm going to make a studio.
Yeah.
So basically started consulting and researching with a lot of my producer engineer friends, and YouTube and Google, like hundreds of hours of research, like literally spending 6 hours a day reading and making phone calls and
Straight into the deep end.
Just really did. And the lockdown was happening, so the restrictions were harder and harder to do things. So I basically just had to teach myself how to do a lot of stuff. So pretty much everything that happened in the whole studio process, from framework to plastering to painting to electrical to even getting Troy to help show me how to solder and do wiring and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh man, and he's an absolute beast with that.
Yeah, dude's got a pretty steady hand, man.
And for anyone who doesn't know Troy, Troy is Audio Ninja, who's has done live sound for Neo for ages, and he's a fantastic studio engineer.
Yeah, and he's one of my best friends, probably one of my very dearest, closest friends. I love that guy so much.
He's an absolute champ. And funnily enough, one of the people that when I first met, I didn't think he liked me, and just came across where I was like, oh, okay, you're wrong. And then had a chat with him after one gig we did together. I was like, I think I love you. You are fantastic.
Guy's amazing.
Great dude.
Very fortunate to have him in my life. He helped me a lot with the studio, an exceptional amount. I was calling him like every second day. Like literally, it was at the point where he'd see my, and this is, I guess, a testament to our relationship. But he'd see my number, and I know he'd put it on silent. Like, no, I'm not dealing with Dan today.
Tomorrow.
I'm just like, when I have an idea, especially like this studio, I'm just like, let's go right now. It's like, if you're not on my team, you're in the way,
Yeah, it's pretty much cool. Are you in on this? No, cool. Next person.
That's pretty much what happened, and that's pretty much why I had to teach myself a lot of the things I did, especially with tools, power tools, because I couldn't get tradesmen in, and I couldn't rely on anyone. Like literally, I set goals really high, and if I don't meet the goal, I get pretty upset, and especially when I pay someone to bring that to fruition, and it's a disappointment. I'm just like, no, I can't rely on anyone.
I feel like it hurts more when you go, I don't have, this is not my wheelhouse, so I'm providing someone money whose expertise it is.
Yep.
And if you don't do it, generally it's a bit, if you can control it, then you should feel bad. You feel more guilt for it. But whereas if I have control of something, I don't feel as bad because I'm like, I have to do it right because I will kick my own ass about it.
Yep.
If someone else doesn't do it right, I just paid them to not do it right.
Yeah. So I've learned a lot. I've learned so much, honestly, over the 6 months, but it took about 5 months from start to finish. So from framework. That's
pretty quick actually to do especially if you're doing a lot of that work on your own, man.
I literally was doing 8 to 16 hour days every single day. And
so it's fair to say that the obsessive nature of when you've got an idea in mind definitely pays off.
It is obsessive. Like just everything has to be perfect. Just everything has to be done a certain way, and hopefully that's paid off because I'm really excited with the end result because it's basically done now. And we've got a pretty cool live room that myself, Troy, and Chris from Exponential Acoustics designed.
Okay.
And he's designed a couple of Sony studios in Melbourne and Brisbane and a whole bunch of stuff. And he's very much a wizard in the science of how sound works. And both Troy and myself are more so, move it over there and see how it sounds and sort of thing. So having the two, I think we're going to get some really, really good results. And a lot of the gear I've invested in is very specific to drum tracking. I've done so much research and obviously doing so much recording myself and seeing what other studios have got and just harassing all of my engineer and producer friends. And I apologize if any of you guys are watching this. My God. It's the stuff I've done so far, and I've only done some pre-production for Vipassi so far that's been kind of half serious, but it's really, really killer.
I'm really keen to check it out, man. I think one thing, looking at the pictures, seeing the gear, and again knowing the kind of person you are, and sort of there's absolutely no half-assing anything. So I have no doubts it's going to be a great sounding room. I'm definitely keen to come try it out for sure.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, I'd love to have you.
I mean, as soon as lockdown's up, I will come down.
Awesome. That sounds great.
I like that. Obviously most people know you as for your drumming and just being an astounding drummer and from Neo and all that. So I think one thing I really like is there are obviously a few of us around Australia, less and less these days, but engineers who are doing the whole either home studio or have a sort of more compact studios, I would say.
Yep.
Doing that, but we are definitely more on the engineering side of it, and probably a fair few, a lot less drummers who are doing it. It tends to be a more of a guitarist oriented thing. I think when guitarists get bored, they tend to jump into it.
It is.
I know that was definitely my end of it. Just too many nights with amps too loud and getting in trouble with mics in front of them.
Yeah, well, the isolation from that room as well is really good. The control room.
Oh, if you're getting drums in there,
yeah. The control room that I have, which is my old drum room.
I was about to ask what the orientation of the studio was now. So, is it an extension to the place, or have you built?
No, I've basically transformed my garage, which is a double garage, into the live room, and my old room that I had my drums and PC in is now just a control room.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and the isolation
really good way to utilize the space.
It's you can barely hear the drums in this room, and when you're monitoring through the monitors,
of course,
which
you're
are
not going to hear it.
Some Neumann KH310s, by the way.
Nice.
It's super good. All you can hear is what's coming from the monitors, so it's very
that's
good.
Ideal situation.
Yeah,
and I guess so. One thing that is more prominent these days, as I was saying, was smaller studios.
Yep.
The whole compact rig style thing. You don't really need a big room to facilitate a 48 channel Neve or SSL as much these days. And I mean, I love those desks. You just put a Neve in front of me and I'll be the happiest person.
Absolutely.
But it is less and less of a necessity these days, as much as it is a flavor for those who can afford it. And you were talking before about, things that, it's harder to make an album with X budget and whatnot. Did you model sort of, given that it's an extension to your old room and having the double garage, was that something that you looked at and went, well, this is obviously the most feasible way to go about it? Did you ever consider an external place, or was
I did. I went through a lot of different options. One option was going to cost me $1 million, and the option I took didn't cost me $1 million. So both I looked very seriously at and considered. And with what was happening at the time, what was unfolding around us, such as the coronavirus situation, I opted with the option that would not put me in a bigger risk post.
Yes.
So that's what I did. And actually, Troy talked me into the arrangement of everything. He had a lot of input to do with that. And basically, you're very right in the sense that you can do a lot with a small space nowadays, especially. Like I'm just really a tone nerd for drums and a bit of just a nerd for drums.
I think it's my favorite part of if I am a drummer on the inside.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Yeah,
100%. And I think as a guitarist, don't go wrong, I love guitar tones and all that, but guitar tracking is a very methodical and it's fun, but for me, tuning up a drum kit, getting the positions right at the mics, getting the tones, it is one of the most fulfilling things. And no matter how many drum, programs I use and whatever, nothing comes close to recording a mic drum kit. It is the best thing.
Will.
I agree. And look, I'm usually pretty happy if someone sends me a good Axe Effects, Kemper, whatever tone. I will make that. I have no qualms. If the tone's good and the playing's good, you're fine. But nothing. I rather have. Quite literally, I rather have very mediocre recorded live drums than programmed drums. The feel, the tone, the way the mics interact, you can't really replicate that.
You can't. It's simply input. You cannot. And it's one thing I'm trying to really, almost educate when advertising in my studio. Like people have asked me questions, is I will save you money in post by coming here.
Yep.
There's just... A lot of people are like, oh, how much is it per day? Oh, I can do it in RMIT for $80 a day. It's like, well, you do that. You're going to spend 3 days in post getting your levels and EQing, and before you even get started.
But then, 9 times out of 10, the person who's behind that desk doesn't know how to tune the drums. They're not going to choose the right mics. And, I mean, if you're looking at RMIT, hopefully those people are learning those skills so that when they do eventually go out there.
Yeah.
But look, this does go back to that budget thing. I have definitely tried to price myself to be able to go bands who are just getting started. I want to help them and I want to be able to provide a service to them without, them being broke, because when I was younger, I had friends and engineers who were able to do the same thing.
Yep.
And this industry is not just a money-making industry. It's not how it works, and it never, it hasn't for a long time, we should say.
Yeah, you got to have,
was
that
obviously
balance,
at one point. It is, and I think that's an important thing of having the people behind the desk who care about that side of it, the artistry, the music, the production. I've definitely transitioned more into, it feels wanky to say, but like a producer role than the engineering side, because majority of the time people are coming to work with me so that I can help them, put the songs together. So I can help them get the exact tones that are going to get the sound thereafter, instead of just going, bring in whatever you want and we'll make it work.
Yeah, totally.
That's not what you're paying me for. You're paying me to go, what vision, show me your music, what is the vision you have, and then my job is to help make that happen, is to facilitate that idea. So I think it's really cool that you've gone about this now with all the experience you have behind you, teaching, touring, playing, and having people like Troy around, obviously, who I imagine will be involved herein and whatnot. It's just nice to have another facility that's going to be somewhere that I know if I either send a client towards or if I come down there and record, I already know without walking in there that it's going to be a good time. It's really reassuring because the people behind it give a shit.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I've given everything I have into this project. I will say it's going to be the best value for money place to record drums probably in the country, simply because of the backline I have, the microphones I have. I mean, I've got a Tama. I've got a 1982 Mastercraft Bell Brass, and if anyone doesn't know, that is like the
Canon, the Black Album,
holy grail of snares that there is. Like literally, Blink-182, Foo Fighters, Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Black Album. I mean, the snare. It's like literally that model. So,
have you recorded it yet for yourself?
No, I haven't. No, not yet.
Dude, snare shootout days are the best.
It's an absolute beast. It is an absolute beast. It is. I mean, it's the reason why it's like probably the most recorded rock metal snare ever.
Absolutely. Look, flavors be flavor, and it's funny, right? Because you say, and I guess getting into that territory of the producing side, and not just opening the studio and going, there it is, sort of thing.
Yep.
You look at, say, a snare like that, and all the different albums it's on. But it sounds different every album because it's mic'd differently in a different studio, played by a different drummer.
Whether it's in Sunset Studios or it's in wherever it is, it's
That's exactly it.
And I just actually got some new snare mics which I can't wait to test out. I got the if there's any nerds listening, I got the Bayer Dynamic 201.
Yep.
The Telefunken M80.
Yep, sick.
So I can't wait to play with those. I played with the Telefunken in Nashville.
Yeah.
Which came up pretty cool on snare, actually.
Did you guys end up using any of that on Neo stuff, or?
Yeah, the Telefunken I think we put on the side snare.
Yeah, I was going to the shell, beautiful.
Yeah, so the main snare we used my Josephson E22.
Yeah.
And we used... What did we use? I think we had a condenser. Maybe a 451 second.
Yep.
Second
something.
snare.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the drum sound on that came out really, really cool. The room was.
Oh man, I'm definitely keen. And I guess my other question was going to be, I guess in this, given with everything going on and whatnot, how are you guys in Neo going? How is the album and all that at this point in time?
Well, we've got basically, I think guitars, drums, bass are done. We need vocals and violin and all the other extra stuff we'll do. But being the guys can't get around anywhere at the moment, it's kind of waiting for lockdown to finish and that we can legally... I've got to organise paperwork here when lockdown finishes to get everyone here legally. And so when lockdown finishes, hopefully we'll get that done pretty quick. We got some other...
So I assume you guys will be continuing the rest of the recording at your place?
Believe so. That's probably going to be how we...
That's the test.
Yeah, it will be. I've got some other jobs that I've got to wait. Troy's going to engineer that. We're probably just going to do a week of recording. I've got a few projects I need to smash out, and then I'm going to do the new Vipassi album, which is done, which we're going to record, and then hopefully the Neo stuff.
That's awesome. So it seems like you have a pretty full plate regardless, either way.
Yeah.
Which is great.
I mean, one thing I try to do is always keep busy.
Yeah.
And like really busy. Really, really busy. So that's one thing.
I totally get that.
So
I know for me, it is definitely a mental thing. Like, if I'm busy and I feel like I'm being constantly productive, or I don't know, like, uh, not being useful is not necessarily the right term, but I guess being able to put something out to people, or just being able to
Yeah.
put something in front of other people that maybe will be useful to them. You know, like whether
Yeah.
it's songwriting or producing, or even just I'm doing like drum sample stuff, whatever it happens to be.
Yep.
If I'm just on top of it and just kind of always doing something that has, I guess, a creative output, then I feel like it's been a useful day.
Yeah,
So,
totally. Yep. Yep.
So obviously your big project has now been your studio for the last however many months.
Yep.
When lockdown, when things sort of start opening up again, have you put much thought into sort of where you think things could be going? Let's say, obviously next Neo album's wherever it will be when it comes out.
Yeah.
Do you sort of have any ideas in your head of where touring and stuff might be at that point? Do you have any guesses of where you think things will go from here in, let's say, the next like 6 months, even within Australia?
Yeah, it's just don't know. It kind of changes every week or two, but like a lot of my friends and industry friends have all got tours booked up next year.
Yeah,
but they're not announced.
Yeah, because you've just got to wait, right?
It's just like waiting, us included.
Yeah,
and everyone just doesn't know what's going on, and it's very difficult to manage what's happening. It's certainly made everyone be a decision maker on the fly, I guess, at the moment. It's...
Well, it is really that adapt or move out of the way kind of situation, unfortunately. Like, there are definitely bands who I've already seen who are breaking up because of not knowing how to navigate that kind of situation, because it's not something that's been put on them, and like a lot of people, obviously.
Well, it's definitely going to separate people who can, I guess, perhaps adapt and perhaps might struggle to. Because basically, if you didn't practice your ass off or come up with something productive during this lockdown, you're going to be left behind.
I think it is an unfortunate reality of the situation, and we came to that realization a little bit for ourselves, where we just hadn't put the effort in to our content creation over the last 12 months where it should have been, just due to heaps of different reasons. But at the end of the day, because we didn't really just sit down and go, we're just going to do this, like we, like I was saying before, just sitting down and going, it has to be done, we've got to do it. So that's something we've now gone, okay, no more of that. We need to have checklists now every week. How much of X amount of content have we got? Whether it gets released or not is irrelevant. It's like, it's making sure it's there, making sure we can, on the fly, create things that we actually feel is, one, interesting and exciting for people to actually look at, and something that we know we can repeat and actually get it done. So if bands aren't doing that, I do think it's going to be a big detriment as things open up. But I think the thing I always keep taking away from it, being a musician, and even from all the way of being really young and always being told musicians don't make money, musician lifestyle is a terrible thing, blah blah blah, all the cliches of go to uni, don't do this and that. I realize no matter what, and I think this is the one thing I'm always going to take away positively from any shit situation, we are musicians, and we are, I guess, in the heavier scenes especially, we're in this for the long haul. We don't have the other option of just being like, I'm just going to give up on music. I don't think that's inherent in the personalities that come to this style of music, especially like the heavier instrument-based genres. So I think regardless of what crumbs get thrown our way, we always thrive on doing the best with almost nothing. So I still think things are going to be okay. It's going to be very different. It's going to be a landscape that maybe harkens back to when, I don't know, if you even think maybe say 10 to 12 years ago, when we were getting a smattering of internationals. It was either your Maiden and Metallica's level, or the odd mid-tier might come through. And I think concentrating on the home scene is going to have to be what we do for quite a while. And I really do hope that we rise to that occasion, though, because Australia is producing some of my personal favorite music at the moment.
Unbelievable talent, genres, unbelievable.
Absolutely. Even like bands that I'm not necessarily even a huge fan of that are still blowing me away, like your North Lanes, Parkway, you guys, Psycho's still this long on, and all these bands who are just putting out amazing music. So I don't think we're going to slow down. I don't think we're going to go, oh, there's an opportunity there, but it's a bit hard. I think everyone's going to hit the ground running, or at least those who have, like you said, that passion or the degree of it that it's an obsession almost.
Yeah, totally.
I think those people are going to take it in their stride, and I really hope they do, because we need those people. We need the Neos, Psychros, and all these bands to do that and show everyone else we can do that. And, remind everyone else that it is possible and not everything's just going to be shit. So I really hope that is a mentality that continues on when things do open up. We are going to have those bands who have to take those first steps. And, obviously there's going to be the risks involved and all that. But I actually do feel pretty positive about it. I still think at the end of the day, especially heavy music fans are the most dedicated fans in the world.
Yeah, they definitely are.
And I don't think that's going to change regardless of the situation that the world's under. It hasn't yet. And if, looking at all the things, even just going by merch sales and all that, vinyl just overtook CD for the year, which is awesome.
Yeah, vinyl's been on the steady increase for numerous years now.
And that just seems like such a ridiculous concept, really. When you look at the technical side of it, it's fucking stupid.
And it costs 10 times more expensive to produce.
Yeah. But it makes you think, like, okay, people aren't just listening to Spotify and just going whatever. People are now going, okay, I have that, but I have this ultimate version almost, it's the artwork and everything.
The artwork and,
it's all there, the journey is in front of you. The time capsule of the band at that point is in front of you. And I think it is very promising to remind ourselves during these times, especially that the way people feel about music, the way people feel about the things we're passionate about, I don't think that's going to change.
No, definitely not.
Moving forward,
like it's going to have to support each other,
Exactly.
If someone comes out and makes a bold move, and a lot of bold moves are going to be made, a lot of different decisions and a lot of risky decisions are going to be made. We're going to have to support people because you got to understand that at the end of the day, you might not like the band that's making the move or making the risk, but
they're
you got to
doing
understand that they're pioneering something which you will follow a footstep, whether it succeeds or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very so important. And if you, it's going to be, obviously a lot of people are going to do some risky things, and a lot of people are going to say some stupid things and hate and all that. It's just like it's now more than ever. People are going to have to really support. You might not enjoy their music or maybe whatever it is about that particular artist, but you're going to have to try and at least support, because every band paves a way for someone else.
Absolutely.
We can all see the stepping stones of that over the years of bands. And look at Parkway Drive now. It's
dude,
like,
you literally took the words out of my bloody mouth.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I was literally like, I think the time that sort of came up that really, I think maybe hit home for me of, I think a lot of us start in that very elitist metalhead phase of our lives when we first get into metal. It's just...
you're stuck in what you like and what you don't like. And you get
absolutely.
stuck in that, and you're vocal about what you like and you don't like.
Yeah, because you're like, I'm right, because I like it. It's just, it's a natural thing.
Yep.
But I think it really hit home to me when Parkway got announced as one of the Varken headliners.
Yep.
My heart just exploded.
Dude, they've been
legitimately.
killing it.
I had to sit there and go, dude, an Aussie, I know there are a lot of heavy bands who are doing the clean vocal, catchy thing and all that, which I do love. But we're talking about a band of 5 freaking surfer, punky Byron dudes who are fucking headlining the biggest metal festival in the world, and they didn't do what was popular. They didn't try to jump onto whatever bandwagon. They've just been doing them, and they're representing our country. They're putting more of a magnifying glass on us, and people are going, "Who the fuck's Parkway Drive?" And so many people, obviously, if you just look at their growth, people have been receptive to that. So the people who have now seen them and have been in front of them, even if they may not have liked it, are understanding, holy shit, they can do that?
Dude,
they can.
They play arena headline tours in Europe.
Yeah, dude, it's insane. Like, some of the shows, I loved it.
Inspiring.
It really is. And I think regardless of, like you said, what bands you like, don't like, it's irrelevant. The scene that we're in is all about supporting each other. It's all about seeing those bands who are paving the way and going, I may not like that band, but what they're doing helps everyone.
Yeah,
and
especially if you're playing a band yourself.
Thing. Yeah.
It's one thing to be a punter and sit back and go, oh, they're shit, or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're playing in a band yourself, you need to watch, listen, learn, and take away what bands are doing right and what maybe they're doing wrong. And don't be a dick and just spew your hate on a Instagram post or something. Just
100%. Like you said, especially being in a band. When I was younger, I definitely had that mentality. Sometimes like, oh, how come they got that slot or whatever? And the typical, not analyzing the situation, just being quite immature about it. I guess at the crux of the situation.
Yeah.
And then I went, all right, well, why did they get X thing, or why are they doing well? And then going, instead of being upset that I'm not doing it, or it's a band I don't like, or whatever. It's like, well, what are they doing so right? What am I missing? Because I'm missing something. If they're doing something well, and I'm like, oh, that's shit. Well, obviously it's not, because they've done it. So you have to take a second and go, why are they doing that? How have they achieved it? And it's incredible. You know, some of these bands that are just, again, Australia especially is, I think, more on the map than we've ever been musically.
It's a blossom of talent. Yeah, it's
yeah, and I'm keen to. I am actually genuinely keen to see what fruits come of this when the lockdowns lift, because there's going to be a lot of hungry musicians, man.
Yeah, for sure.
With a lot of stuff to write about.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, again, I think I'll probably let you go so you can have some evening left to yourself. But thank you so much for the chat, and it's really nice to catch up and talk, man.
Yeah, likewise, dude.
Absolutely. Good luck with near Bushido and everything, and I'm sure I'll see you in the studio the second lockdown's over.
Yeah, look forward to it, man.
Awesome, dude.
Cool.
Cheers.
Thank you. Appreciate it.